All right. Okay. Did I just forget the Lord's Prayer? No. Okay. Stop. Breathe. Think. Is it already rolling? Hi, I'm Obert, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how does God answer prayer. For me in my life, I found that the truth is that God always answers prayer. Like, regardless of whether or not we realize it, He always does answer our prayers. It's just that sometimes what we're praying for and what His plan for us are two different things. They're not always the same. I remember a time in my life where I was really struggling. I was struggling a lot with the whole trying to get my dad, especially, to come to church, and I'd been praying for that for a really long time, and that had been something that my family and my mom, and we really wanted our dad to come to church, and we wanted him to know Christ. And because he did have a relationship with God, we just wanted him to, come to church, be surrounded by God's people. That was something that we'd always, really felt was important, that my mom had really wanted to happen for a really long time. And I'd almost given up on it because we'd been praying for so long, and we kept on trying to have faith in that. And I didn't know what kind of test I was being put through, because for me it was really hard, because there were some times when I was going through some struggles and some pain and stuff and a lot of other things, and I found that I kept praying and I didn't feel like my prayers were being answered, and I didn't really hear God's voice. It was really important for me and I guess my family, especially my mom, that my dad would come to church and that prayer was answered for us. I think at one point we almost gave up on that, but I think my mom never did. She kept on praying for that. She kept on hoping, and I think me and my brothers, we'd sort of lost hope that it was going to happen. And then earlier this year, actually, for the first time ever, my dad had said, "I'm coming to church." And we thought, it might just be a prank, because sometimes he says he would come and he didn't actually end up coming. But he actually came to church. He put on his nice clothes. He got in the car. He went with mom, and we drove in another car. We came to church, and he was participating in the songs, and he was a bit nervous at first. I was just watching in disbelief as I saw him, in the song, just being at church with other people. It was amazing. It was a bit funny though. At the end of the service, he tried to leave really quickly so no one would talk to him. But Pastor Jacob actually intercepted him so he couldn't run away without being introduced and saying hi. And I felt that was a time in my life where I saw a prayer that I'd really been, I guess, I'd almost given up on, that I thought wasn't being answered for me. I feel like God really answered that prayer. And I don't feel like it was meant to be at any other time than when it was. I feel like sometimes we want something to happen within our own time, but it's not about what we plan or what we want. It's about the timing that God has. Other times in our lives, we sit down to pray to God, and we have a kind of idea of what we think that answer to the prayer looks like, or what that looks like to us. And sometimes that's not what God has in mind. I feel like the main message is that God always answers prayers. Sometimes it's just about knowing whether or not it's a yes, or it's a yes and we're not listening, or maybe it's a no, and that's what's best for us, because God does love us, and that's why He does what He does, because He knows what's best for us. He has a plan for every single one of us, and that plan is to prosper us and give us strength, and not to bring us to harm. Sometimes when we ask God to answer our prayers, we don't see the whole picture, and we don't realize that maybe the circumstance we're in is for the best. Maybe what we need right now is that thing. In the Lord's Prayer it says, "Give us this day our daily bread." And that means for that day, at that moment, we're asking God to satisfy our needs, or make sure that we continue on to the next day. And sometimes we may feel hungry for more, but God will give you enough to sustain you for that day. And when we're praying and we're asking God for these things, sometimes those things aren't what we need. And God gives us what we need. He sustains us. He's a loving Father. He's a good Father. And He cares for us. And God never gives us something that's too much for us. And because He cares for us, He loves us. He wants to help us grow in our faith. He wants to help us grow in our love for Him, and He wants to have that relationship with us. He wants to strengthen that relationship. And the only way we can do that is by giving us things that we're ready for. He doesn't want to hurt us or give us a load we're not ready to carry, because God does love us. And that's how I think God answers prayers. He gives you what you're ready for. He gives you what you need, but not always what you want. If you're interested in getting to know more of, I guess, what I've said, or just learning more about the Lord's Prayer and what that's like and how God does answer our prayers and what those prayers should look like or how we should pray, then I encourage you to come join us at our 6:30 to 8:30 services and you can get to see me.